Hello, folks. Welcome back to Learn Synthesis with VCV Rack. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore. In this episode, we are continuing our journey through some of the free libraries of modules that are available for VCV Rack. Last episode, we started with the Audible Instruments brand, and we're going to continue with them today and take a look at the modal synthesizer and the texture synthesizer from Audible Instruments, which are modeled off of mutable instruments in physical Euro Rack. These two synthesizers are really powerful, and if the last episode didn't make the case for you to check out the Audible Instruments set of modules, then hopefully this one will, because you can make some great sounds with these synthesizers. So away we go. Okay, so here we're looking at just a MIDI in and an audio out, and this is the modal synthesizer from Audible Instruments. It is pretty much a unit that you can kind of use on its own, although maybe adding an envelope or some other items might be useful for you. It seems to be largely physical modeling. So I did double check, and the name is modal, but I don't know. Should be model because it does some pretty cool modeling. So in any case, let's take a look at this. We have the volts coming in here to select pitch. It does have a gate input, and it has two outputs. So it does function in stereo within itself. Up here are really three different models, although this one doesn't necessarily stand on its own. We're going to hear it right now, but I'm going to turn down these two. Well, actually, let me leave this up. This is strike. This is basically like the articulation of like a mallet strike, which we can hear right there. You notice how it's kind of like bent to the left a little bit? I notice if you turn up the space knob here a little bit, it does get centered. As you turn up space, though, you're basically enlarging the space that it's resonating in, and at this point we're starting to get some reverb. So just not to confuse things, let's just turn this down just enough so that it is centered and we're hearing what we're doing. So yeah, the strike knob allows you to control how much of the strike articulation is in it. There you don't hear anything unless you work with some of the other modeling implements. So that just basically controls how pronounced your strike is. Let's leave it at like 12 o'clock there. And next we have here a mallet knob, because basically you're striking, which almost sounds like a glass container with a mallet. Wow. Now you're almost scraping it. Now it's getting a little bit duller, as if it is a softer mallet. You go to this side more though. You start getting double strikes. Now I'm just holding the key down once. So you turn it up high enough, you're getting a roll. There we go. So that's your mallet option. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. You have a timbre option here. So it's kind of like giving a bias towards high, medium, and low at this point. When you turn it up to high, it's almost like hitting it with a harder mallet. And when you turn far enough down, it's almost like hitting a larger container, although the pitch stays the same. We do have pitch control here, so we are getting pitch. So let's turn down strike. There we go. Now I'm not getting anything. Let's turn up blow. So it's like air being blown down a tube. These factors, other than mallet, are still at play. No, they're not. Actually, no. So when your strike is down, the blue color coded knobs no longer do anything because they are all within the same area. And of course here you have a CV input, one for timbre, one for mallet. Not your strike level itself, but these two can be guided by CV input from like a step sequencer, an envelope, or could be an LFO or something like that. So let's hear what we get on this end in working with the blow aspects. Now this simply just says blow again. I hear a change in here. Somewhat of the blowing. Maybe let's turn this down a little. Maybe hear more. Yeah, it seems to be changing the angle of the blow. And then there's timbre for that as well. Okay. So this is why I say it's like physical modeling, because it's modeling physical actions. You know, striking a resonant chamber, blowing on it, and so forth. Up here, we have BDW. Now, I am not entirely sure what BDW, the abbreviation, stands for, but let me zoom in. Maybe it gives me a clue here. Sorry if a second mouse cursors appear. I am the large one. No, it just says BDW exciter. So let's turn down blow. See what happens when we turn this up. That is not a D, folks. It's bow. This whole time I've been misreading it. And I was wondering, well, what's BDW? No, it's bowing. So that's drawing a bow across a resonant chamber. And of course, with that, these knobs don't do anything unless there's a blow aspect to the sound, but there isn't. It's just bow. Now, under bow, we do have down here timbre. And we do have contour over here. Which for me, it's hard for you to notice, but I got basically a longer release time on that. Now it's shorter again. Towards the middle, it's a longer release time, but of course, since you're not pressing the key, you don't notice it. But here towards the left side, even if I hold down the key, we're losing sustain. Now we get sustain. And I released it. You can see this play knob here kind of releases, but the sound goes on. Yep. So this is adjusting kind of like the sustain to the bowing. And it's all the way to the right. Now is releasing quickly. Let's see the difference between this. It's releasing quickly, but it has sustain to it, whereas trying to get you to turn. But when we turn the knob all the way to the left, we just get attack. No matter how much I hold down the key. All right, so leave it on that. What other inputs do we have? We have FM. The corresponding knob for that is all the way over here. So you can apply FM to this. Let's try it with an LFO first. Use our VCV LFO here. Now I'm just going to leave the dial on like a middle, well, whatever, it wouldn't be middle C, but whatever the middle range is for the LFO. We need to adjust the FM over here to positive or negative values. So you can see the frequency modulation there, or rather hear it. Let's put in a VCO. So we get a higher rate. And I am going to hook up pitch here to our pitch input, so this becomes proportional. May actually need to hook up the output here to the FM input here. There it is. So you can hear that could be pretty useful. I'm going to initialize this for now. We shouldn't hear any. Okay, but I'm going to leave the oscillator. Well, actually, let's do this now. Let's put this oscillator in place of our it's called external in. And what do I have hooked up to it? Gate. No, this is gate. That's right. The label is above. So I'm going to plug the oscillator into this external in now. It's color-coded red. So this has to do with blowing. So now we'll hear a sine wave influencing the blow. Now let's hear so it's basically replacing this. Well, kind of governing it in a way. All right, that's a little harsh and annoying, so I am going to turn those down and then try the triangle wave. I've tried this earlier, it's kind of interesting. So if we were to hook this up to a VCA first and then have an envelope gate govern it, let's do that real quick here. Let's move this cable, the output of the VCA, and plug the sine into the VCA right there. No, it's supposed to go in here. And then zoom out one step there. And let's take a EG, ADSR here. And you are going to control the VCA. And this will have to hook up to, oh, come on. There we go. To our gate up here. Turn the sustain and the release down so we just get we could add an envelope gate for the overall sound here as well. I'm just trying to play the keys short just so I don't have to, but you could do that. In basically the same fashion, but since we have two outputs here, you could have one gate controlling two VCAs in the same way. I think this can go out to two. Well, let's see. It doesn't hurt us to have an envelope on this. Some of those Bifaco mixers might be useful, but I think they're just knobs. They don't have CV in. Yeah, so VCA. We do have our stereo here, though. This does have a level control, so we can hook our, this is our channel strip from Bifaco, which we've used a lot in the first few episodes in this series. Very useful for stereo as well as mono controls. This is why it's good to go through the packages one at a time. Then you remember what you have. You download a whole bunch, so many appear that you can easily get lost and forget some of the things that you've got and what they're useful for. It's good to play with them little by little. That's why I'm doing this series this way. Now, we get level CV, pan CV is the bottom one, but this needs to be hooked up to the gate as well of our overall input right here. So this is just controlling the attack, sine wave attack. I'm not hearing anything because the level is down. So now we have kind of like a sine wave articulation in the attack. I could turn the sustain level up here a bit. In proportion to the rest of the sound, the attack's a little loud, so you could go to the VCA down here. Balance them in proportion with one another. Now, overall, it is a little quiet. Now remember, if I click here, get a little boost. There's probably a way to boost it even after this fact, now that it's been mixed together, but we at least got a good mix between these two synthesizers. Let's turn up. Yeah, since we aren't really blowing, all right, so all sorts of beautiful stuff you can do there. Let's go through the rest of these here. See what we get out of these. Oh, incidentally, there is an external input here that's color-coded blue. This could basically receive in place of strike. Since we shortened this a bit, how about we just switch it over here? You almost need to bring up the body of the sound here. Bow is allowing us to do that. If I could change the flow, it sounds a little too windy for me. Well, that must be part of the bow sound. Now the sustain's pretty much gone because I turned coarse all the way down. Not coarse. Contour. Anyway, we're getting some pretty nice sounds here. Let me turn it back up so we get some sustain. Alrighty, so I looked through each of these earlier. Yes, there is a coarse and a fine tuning of the pitch. And it really sounds semitone oriented there. Now this is best, of course, if you're doing chorusing with two of these. You can set their fine tuning apart a little bit and get a good chorus sound, sounding thicker as a result. I would suggest before you chorus them, get the timbre you want out of one and then copy it and paste it. All right, what do we see here? Geometry. I like a wave shape adjuster. Since we're doing that, we might as well work with strike a bit more here. Wonder if we could work with that, maybe with one more envelope here. You could gate out Here's the mallet. Here's its input. And we need to go from destination to source here to hook this gate up to here. So it initiates when we play a note. I'm going to turn down the sustain and the attack. Make it a shorter decay and a quick attack. Well, I haven't been adjusting the amount that affects it, which would be here. Since I have mallet turned up, let's have it adjusted down. Get a little bit of a Alright, so a lot of playing around can be done. We have brightness here. Getting some extra smacks from the mallet. Let's get rid of this and set the mallet You can tremolo on the key with your two fingers a bit. Kind of get bell tones, drums kind of like mixed together. Maybe even add a little. I'll leave that down. So yeah. Make our release time a little longer. I think Contour is making this release before the envelope does. I like that. All right, and then down here we have a few more parameters. Dampen. I think this works in conjunction with space. Really gives you a stereo perspective, the space does. All these can receive inputs and be manipulated with that. It's almost like raising dampers off of a piano, and then turning it down. The attack seems to resonate within the space still because the space is still there. But what resonates outward dampens quicker. We're getting a little too much below here. Nice stuff. And then here we have pitch. That shifts in the pitch slightly for what's resonating outward. I'm not hearing much in the way of adjustment there. Bass is up. Let me see here. Maybe the geometry. I'm not sure what parameters need to be set for the pitch to really have much effect. I do hear a little change there. It seems to sound the same whether you go to the left or the right. The difference is when it's centered. I'm going to turn our sustain down here so we hear a difference. Okay, so now let's take a look at the texture synthesizer. We can use what we have already and just add it because the texture synthesizer receives input for what it adds to the sound. And here you see there's an in left and in right. We'll be using those. I'm just going to make sure that I make the amount of space that we need. Pull this up. Okay, these audio outputs from the model or modal synthesizer. I need to check that. It really should be model when you think about it. I haven't worked with any modes yet. No Dorian, no Phrygian, no Lydian. Okay, let's get it right. Come on. There we go. Okay, so first of all, we're not hearing anything. There might be a gate input here. Oh no, I am hearing. Just sometimes. Let me check something over here. Incidentally, I didn't show this when it was the only one hooked up, but this does respond to polyphony, but the texture synthesizer does not. So you can use simple polyphony on it. Here, I'll do these again just so you can hear that. It's set to 4-note polyphony, as you saw there on the MIDI to CV. So if we're just going through the modal synthesizer, everything here basically allows for polyphony because we're using VCV modules. This doesn't, but it looks like the different voices are coming out the same out. So the Bifaco is able to do all four. The reason why you won't hear, you'll hear some notes drop out is when we go through the texture synthesizer, the polyphony disappears. So for it, what you would do if you wanted to use this in conjunction with a polyphonic modal synthesizer here, you would need to do what I did in episode 2 of series 2, where I was working with Bifaco. You would do a split for your outputs from modal. Then, depending on the number of voices in your polyphony, you would have that many of these to go through. And then you merge them back up again from there on out, although probably because they're individual notes and you want the gate to shape each of them. Well, the gate is polyphonic, so you would basically have these two in between your split and your merge. Not sure what I'm talking about? Check out episode 2 of series 2. Okay, now I need to go back to monophonic over here. And now we'll hear our notes. That attenuation is because of the settings of our texture synthesizer here. Now, I need to zoom in on these again. I played with it earlier today, but I need to look at it again. Now, I am going to make this sound not have sustain to it. Let's turn coarse down or contour down. Okay, so even if I hold the key, we have some space afterwards. That's what can be done with this. This first section here is almost like a bit of a delay on the sound I noticed earlier. But I believe I need to, this is our input gain. Seems to be up enough. There's initial sound and then that's coming out of here, and then you hear almost like a somewhat of a whistling sound that is kind of like the texture being added by this. Come on. and this governs its position within that area, and this is its density. Now you can hear it a bit more. As I adjust its density, you're hearing a little bit of a modulation on the effect that this is adding. This is more of like an effects processor, but it is adding to the sound. There you go. Now you can hear the reiteration. It's like one delay iteration, and if we adjust position, we can make it happen sooner or later. In the middle, the density seems to make it kind of like less perceivable. Towards the lower end, you do hear it again. But it sounds a little stuttery. Turn it down. And then over here, this is, yeah, the input gain. So yeah, moved it a little further back in position so we can hear it more. Cool thing about this is it has a freeze thing too that can be triggered here, as well as the whole thing itself can be triggered. But you can trigger right here to kind of freeze it in place. Now, as I'm playing different notes, this is stuck in the position where it was when I froze it. So that's fun. Let's see here. Now we have size. This seems to be working position in a slightly different way. It is time factor. But we're hearing our reiteration further back in time here, and more and sooner here. And that does seem to thicken the texture of it all, if you will. Sounds more stereo. Now I'm going to turn these all the way down, so the time at which this reflection occurs is simultaneous with the sound. We are still hearing space from over here. Yeah, I like it when the texture is turned up here. These different parameters can receive external inputs, as we see here, for texture, size, as well as density and position. The input gain, no, but that you probably don't need an external input for. Now there's a pitch input here that I never hooked up. Let's hook it up. Yeah. And there's pitch adjustment here. So that's what we're changing here, is pitch here. I'm detuning it from its initial setting. There, it's close to its initial setting. And then you have a blend function. Here, the sound of this synth is being taken out when you turn the blend all the way up. So it's like a wet-dry mix for this effects processor. Dry being to the right, and wet to the left. Although that's not entirely accurate. This is dry to the left, really, and this is all the way wet to the right, but you lose the dry in the middle. Excuse me. Okay, and you can control blend here, as well as the pitch we have controlled there. Now, I was playing with this up here a little bit. That changes what the blend does. As you see, it's color-coded blue now. Let's put it center here. Wow. So you can really rotate what you're blending. Now, I'm not sure what dark blue is. And I don't hear any effect there, but it was white for everything. And skipped over the red there. They're red for our position-based factors. I mean, you still hear those effects with it turned all the way down. We were hearing it all this time as we changed the sound. But that seems to add a little bit more. Okay, so let's see what this sounds like using something that would be considered like more of a normal type of signal coming into it. I just want to get a good screenshot of all this here before I take this away, because this is our last little bit here, just so we can get an idea. Although that may not be as interesting to tell. You know what might be? One thing I wanted to try. Let's do that. Instead of this sine wave here, let's take our oscillator from last time that we played with from Audible Instruments. Macro oscillator here. And kind of give this, not moving over at all. Why not? There's space there. Oh no, there's a VCA right there. Okay, let's plug you in. Now remember, this is our attack on this sound here coming in as external input for strike. Let's switch that to blow. And what we'll need here, we will take our pitch input from up here. And we are going to need gate coming into the trigger here for the sound that we're going to use. Remember last time we went through like all the sounds in this thing, and at the upper end there was wind. Let's see if we can use the wind from here. No, it was one of these up here. Well, there's cloud, that's close. Make the space a little bit longer. Turn off the strike. In fact, let's not even shape it. Just have it come straight in. Definitely giving us a softer attack. Okay. Some of the others here. Because a lot of these are physical models too. Like the blowing of a flute. All right, so anyway, as you see, there's a lot that can be done with these synthesizers. And in fact, since it's also part of the Audible set, I'll use that as a screenshot for the thumbnail. All right, folks, if you found this useful at all, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you get notifications when I release new videos. And Share it on social media if you can. I don't do much in the way of social media. If you do, you can really help me out by sharing some of these videos. But in any case, until next time, where we will actually, I might as well tell you what we're doing next time. There are some modulators in the Audible instrument set that we're going to look at. And they're pretty funky and powerful and do things way beyond just like a VCF would normally do and so forth. So it's a whole episode on that, and then we'll move beyond Audible instruments onto other things. So you get to see what's in these sets before you download them. Until next time, take care and stay free.